Greetings, gentle folk, and welcome to yet another season of the Starfall Collective. I am your intrepid DM, Josh, and through this story, Jade. We're so excited to have you with us. We use the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule set to create rich and compelling stories of actual live play, and we're happy to bring that to you. Tonight, I am joined by four of what will ultimately be more folks in the party. But for tonight, I'm excited to introduce you to some of these folks. Matt, why don't you introduce the people to you and say a little something about yourself?
Are you talking about Matt or Crocular?
Oh, just Matt for now. We'll get to that.
Okay. Hello, my name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, Talamini.com.
Jared, as a fellow member of the previous season, why don't you give the folks a smile and a wave? Anything about yourself you care to disclose?
Hey, my name's Jared. Looking forward to this.
Excitement. Okay, excited. Jacob, I got to go by seniority here. You were also a part of the previous season. Anything you care to introduce about yourself other than your name?
Yeah, my name is Jacob Burbridge, and I am the son of the previous DM. So hopefully the intelligence was, whatever the word for it is, carried over.
Well, you can always rely on nepotism. LT.
Inherited.
Hi, I'm LT. I was the audience of last season.
That's right.
Let's give a hand for our audience. We either had zero viewers or we had one, and if we had one, it was this guy.
Oh boy. Our camera zooms in through a storm, a dark, lightning, crackling filled storm with immense flying squid figures dipping in and out. Every now and then we see one of these squid figures come splatting into the side of an immense cliff face. You can't see the top or the bottom of it through the storm, and you see little scuttling monkey-like creatures crawling along the cliff face, and these giant squid figures will snatch one off. And as we pan over a bit, we see this enormous, probably 50-story tall glass sphere that seems to be affixed to the side of this cliff face with these long, seemingly impossibly thin buttresses made of a dull metal. The giant glass sphere is made of many, many large triangular panes. It looks like there are thousands of them. So each one is probably maybe 10 feet tall. This glass houses an insane asylum, the Highview Sanatorium. The last... Hey, we've got some new players. The last-ditch hope for the magically, tragically, and criminally insane. A facility housing several former heroes, former adventurers, former notorious individuals who have come to this place, whether largely against their will, to receive treatments and be saved from themselves. Over in a corner, we see a rather crazed man with some real twitchy energy, and he's painting something on a large canvas. It's grotesque and bizarre. Matthew, what do we see Crocular painting over in the corner during free time?
I think Crocular is using some homemade art supplies.
Homemade paints?
Rat paste.
Rat brown.
I think that
he had an entire movement in rat. Yeah.
A landscape that he had a vision of probably last night while he was in a trance. and it is arches upon arches upon arches going off into the distance at impossible angles. The geometry is enough to drive a humanoid mortal insane. And if you look closely enough at it, you can see that there are probably in one corner there's one little elf, and that little elf is probably looks a lot like Crocular.
A 7-foot tall orc walks over and places an immense hand on your shoulder and pats you and says,
"Good work, Crocular. I'm really proud of your depth and shading. You're really growing as an artist. Very proud of you."
He pats you on the shoulder and walks a little bit further over, and we see at a table. By the way, sorry, before we move on, he's patting the shoulder of who? What does Crocular look like as we see this immense orc hand patting him on the back?
Oh, I think Crocular is a high elf, but he is, think like an unhealthy cousin of Legolas, like the platinum white hair, but it's sort of stringy and like clumping together a little bit, like he doesn't really take care of himself. And very bohemian sort of clothing and energy, like he's too brilliant to do normal things like bathe or eat protein.
Yeah, fortunately, there are people who take better care of you than you do yourself, and so there are enforced baths at least once a week. So we're probably out from one of those. So, it's coming up soon.
This may
LT,
be the best that he's looked in months.
Yeah, probably. LT, what does your character look like, and what are they doing?
Reginald Thickbeard, who everybody refers to frequently and to his dismay by his dead name, Waggletop, is a very tiny and very skinny rock gnome with a thin, scraggly beard and mustache. But he will tell you that he is the last of the Thickbeard dwarves.
Excellent. Very good. And how tall are you?
About 2.5 feet tall.
Excellent. I'm just taking some notes here because this is just great stuff. This is vivid character work. I'm loving it. Okay. So we've got
what's his name again?
Waggletop is what everyone calls him.
Everybody calls him Waggletop, but he says his name is Reginald Thickbeard.
I think we should put our character names. Oh, mine is on that thing.
Oh, yeah.
How do I change my name in Riverside?
I think if you just reload the entire page, you'll just go back to the original thing. Then you can change it. I don't know how to change it from in the menu, though.
I don't know if I should reload the page. I'm like the chief.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll fix it later.
I'll fix it later.
So, Jared, tell us, what does your character look like, and what do you think they're doing during free time?
Implicit in this, so I have two characters. Am I choosing which one to start out as?
You are. These are the kinds of decisions that you must make, or we can go with a coin flip.
Hey, excuse me, sorry, Jacob. If you're going to use the speakers, could you mute when you're not talking? Because we're getting an echo from you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. What's it going to be?
Let me go to this other guy.
Okay, go into another guy. All right. Do you want me to move on and give you a chance to think about it?
Yeah, let me just pull him up.
All right. Very good. Jacob, tell me, what is your character's name? What do they look like? And what do you think they're doing during free time here?
My character is Boslin, He is probably scowling intensely at any wall that looks inherently suspicious, as well as anything inside or behind said walls that would inherently be suspicious. Yeah, he is a human, a rather tall one. He's an averagely above tall human, about 11, not 11 feet, but 5 feet 11 in height. He's got jet black hair and seems to have a constant, almost grimace on his face. Like whatever anyone has said in the moment is just, he doesn't believe it. Not at all. Not for the slightest.
Yikes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You see this tall orc walk over to you, and he kind of squats down and says,
Say there, Boslin. You have an okay day? Remember, smile on outside helps smile on inside. No better way to make friend than smile.
Keeping his eyes at a very, very intense suspicion, his mouth just sort of peels upward like that.
Creepy, but good try. Solid effort. No criticism. This safe space.
And as soon as he walks away, he drops it.
you see this tall orc walk over to a Aaron. What kind of character are you playing? What's your character's race? What do they look like? What's their name? I've got a character for you named Veda Greenswarden. If you want to play a female ranger, that's available. I've also got a bugbear named Chork that you could play. You tell me. You want to be a ranger, a rogue? What are you feeling?
Sounds great. I've given this zero thought. Sorry.
Okay. Very good. So Veda Greenswarden has a rat in her hand that has several little hats that you've made for it. And so Veda's kind of swapping out different hats. One of them's a sombrero. One of them's a pork pie. And have you named this rat already? Or is maybe you're thinking of names, workshopping it at the moment? I don't know. You tell me.
We'll go with that. You said Veda with a V?
Veda, V-A-D-A.
Okay.
And Veda is a half-elf.
Okay.
So somewhat humanoid, somewhat elven features.
Okay.
So I will let you percolate and maybe think about defining notable characteristics or features or anything, and we can trickle those in as we go. I don't want to put you too much on the spot. Jared, have you had a chance to finalize your character selection?
Yeah, you see a pretty old guy, as outside as he can be. Can he be outside, or is he's in this room?
Yeah,
he's near the window.
Okay.
Is there a window?
So one entire face of the wall is all large, lush green plants, and there's an entire walkway. So you could definitely be in the outermost part of the room, which really actually kind of almost feels like a separate room because you've got a wall of vegetation between you and everybody else. There are openings every like 20 feet or so to enter in and out of this walkway along the edge of the room. Multi-storied, so you can kind of walk up and down stairs going back and forth in this kind of buffer of green at the edge of the facility.
Okay. Well, there's a really old guy. You can see a head of white hair, maybe peeking through the bushes, all the plants. He's in the plants, and has been looking for sticks or something to whittle. And if they let him have a knife, he is whittling. But since this is an insane asylum, if there's no knife, he is using sticks to whittle other sticks.
You see, go ahead.
And do the best wood carving he can with what he has.
You see Brick walk over to this area where, what's your character's name again?
Ivan.
Ivan, that's right. You see Brick walk over to Ivan and says,
We find any good stick today? Find good whittling stick?
Yes.
Okay, come with me.
and Brick walks you over to this huge metal chair that is bolted into the ground. And there are these large 1-inch thick chain links. And he kind of politely points to the seat for you. You've done this before. You have a seat, and he clamps you into the seat, and he takes a step back and with an extended arm hands you this tiny little 1-inch pocket knife and says,
Remember, privileges are privileges earned with trust. Okay? I check on you in 5 minutes. Nurse, 20 foot buffer for Ivan. 20 foot, please. Thank you. Okay.
and you see a halfling orderly with what looks to be some sort of 6-foot long cattle prod comes and kind of stands in the middle of that area, and he just kind of gives you a little wink, and then you see him kind of scoot away from you another couple of steps and give you a wide berth.
Well, it sounds then like if my hands are shackled to the arms of the chair.
No, just your feet. Your feet
Oh,
are
okay.
shackled to the base of the chair, but your hands are free, and you've got a tiny little 1-inch blade with a big handle on it that you're able to do some whittling with.
Okay.
And so you see, this is not a abusive or awful place. They care about you. They care about your happiness. You even see Brick walks. This enormous orc walks over to Waggletop and hands him a comb or a brush or something, and he says,
For your hair, Master Dwarf. It was looking a bit scraggly.
He doesn't have a beard at all. He's got a tiny little Van Dyke. But yes, so you see Waggletop combing an invisible or possibly imaginary, but probably just invisible beard. And you see a number of other folks, some of whom are muttering to themselves, cackling wildly. Some are playing with dolls. Others are drawing. Some are playing with blocks on the floor. And there's one elf over in the corner who's got an enormous chalkboard looking thing, and it's just full of these crazy arcane runes, and you see him muttering to himself something about cracking the code or figuring out how to bring them in. You're not quite sure, but this man's clearly headfirst into some sort of scientific delusion. But here at the Highview Sanatorium, the goal that the staff has for all patients is health, is getting better. And so you see, after a little while, some of the orderlies come and gather you up, and they select the 5 of you in particular, and they bring you into another facility where they sit you down in chairs, and you see the same large orc walks into the room and says,
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to group therapy. As you know, my name Brick. My people have long tradition. Your name is the strongest thing you can break. One day, when I was young man, I take Brick and I snap in half. One day, I hope to be named Depression when I am having the power to break it in all of you. So, please, let's everybody do our best and try to be healthy and good people.
As he goes around, he looks at you, Crocular, and says,
Crocular, we have been working on people skills for you. Would you like to say something nice to Ivan, maybe? Maybe work on making friend today.
And he leans over to you and he says,
That not really for you. That for him. I need good example, please.
And he's pointing over at Boslin, and you realize he's asking you to kind of, show what it looks like to make a friend.
Which one is Boslin?
That would be Jacob's character with the insane smile being the best that he could eke out.
Okay, the scowling, untrustworthy
Yes.
one. Okay,
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
And I'm supposed to call him Ivan?
He points. Okay, so sorry, maybe that was confusing. Brick walks up to you and kind of looks at you and points over at Ivan and says,
Maybe you could show Boslin what it looked like to make friend. Please introduce yourself, even though you know one another.
Hello, Boslin. Did you know that one day you're going to die?
See, very good, very good. Pointing out interesting fact. Sometimes people bond over facts like mortality. For instance, all my family dead, killed in large war massacre. But
Mine too.
So this is why he is only remaining dwarf. But
Exactly.
are we sad? No. Sometime tragedy lead us on path to where we are. Because of tragedy, me here with all of you, teach you how to deal with grief and integrate. Now, everybody say with me, integrate.
Integrate.
Integrate?
And one day we will all learn what this word mean. Me no know what it mean yet. Me only junior counselor, but we get there. Please,
Boslin?
let all hold hands and join in therapy together.
Boslin
And he
intentionally
reaches
does not
out.
say integrate during all of that.
Very good, very good. He notices and he stares at you for just a second, but then he smiles. You see all the being lifted out of boxes by orderlies who come into the room, and they put these helmets over your head, and they seem to have a number of crystals sticking out of them. And from the center of the ceiling, you see there descends a enormous sort of chandelier-looking thing that has hundreds of crystals, and the whole apparatus is turning slowly. As these helmets are put onto your heads, you recognize a familiar device. You are all going into dreamscape therapy, where fortunately you will be able to work out your aggression issues, have a little bit of excitement, but not be a danger, to yourselves or others, as you will be in the dreamscape, not in the real world. As all of these helmets descend on you, you instantly realize that you are incredibly sleepy, and that's the last thought you have before all of you black out and open your eyes in a green meadow next to a field with next to a stream that's babbling. You see some trout swimming in the waters. You look up and you see an impossibly large and shimmering silver moon. And you realize once again that you are in the dreamscape. Now, all of you should have weapons and equipment on your character sheets. All of those are now on your person. You are now fully armed and equipped with all of your weapons, shields, all that good stuff. So, in IRL, in the real world, these characters don't have that stuff, obviously, but now you do. Let's see here. Give me just a second. Let me pull something up. Very good. Very, very good. Excellent. As all of you stand around in this field of green, you hear the sound of crying, of weeping, not sad crying, but really desperate, heartbroken cries and sobs of multiple female voices coming from what seems to be around the bend. You can't see exactly where it's coming from because the creek kind of goes around a corner and there are some trees, but you hear crying coming from the other side.
Do we see each other?
You do see each other. All 5 of you are there together.
I inspect myself and I quickly cast Disguise Self so I look like a very stereotypical dwarf.
Very good. Make me a will check.
How do I do that?
Sorry. A wisdom. Make me a wisdom check.
Wisdom.
Sorry.
11.
11. Very good. You guys see Waggletop with an immense, thick, bushy beard.
Yeah.
It's still Waggletop. He doesn't look like a dwarf, but he looks like a gnome with a dwarven beard.
In response to this seeming transformation, I'm going to almost reflexively cast Detect Good or Evil just around me to see if anything weird is happening.
Okay, very good.
Aside from being in a dreamscape. Aside from that.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see here. As you cast Detect... Go ahead.
Ivan's just walking towards the noise.
Okay. Jacob, as Boslin casts Detect Magic... Or he casts Detect Good and Evil?
Detect Good and Evil. I can tell within 30 feet if there are any Fey, Fiend, Celestial, Elemental, Aberrations, or Undead. Within 30 feet of me. Yeah.
Okay. You detect an evil aberration in a tree. You see a thing that looks a little bit like a crow, but it has bat wings and what appears to be some sort of blood red peacock plume on its bottom and some frog legs that it's perching on. And you see its head looks like a miniature bear's head. And when you cast this and you look up at it, it hisses at you and vomits a little spray of shimmering acid, and you see it flutter off into the trees and disappear. Anyone who would like to make me an Arcana or Religion check may do so.
I will make a Religion check. 14.
Okay.
That's a Religion check.
Okay.
18 Religion check for Crocular.
And LT, if you have Arcane or... Well, actually, I'll just go ahead and tell Matt. So, Crocular, you recognize a spy, a minion of Karen. And you are deeply, deeply concerned because you know that this should not be. Karen should not know where you are the moment you escape.
Could you mute, Jacob?
Oh, yeah. Let me try... Hold on one sec. We'll leave for a sec.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, this is deeply concerning to you. You've never seen anything like this before where there's been some evil thing just waiting for you. And something about the team religion, something about that doesn't feel natural. You know that in the dreamscape that some things are quote real with respect to the outside world, and some things are only real with respect to the dream that the five of you are sharing. Something about this feels so bizarre and so off that it skeeves you out. You feel a shiver run down your spine.
Did you know that my character enjoys being skeeved out?
I'm sure it's a massive oxytocin rush for you. Yes.
Boslin is going to just charge as fast as he can, trying to catch up with that thing and use his heavy crossbow to try and knock it out of the sky.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Veda has jumped on her rodent of unusual size and is running it in circles around the whole crew here. And as Boslin scoots off, she lets out a disgruntled yelp because her circle of people that she is herding is disinclined to be herded, and she has to make it a bigger circle to go loop that one guy back in.
Okay, anybody who wants to try to... Oh, well, there you go. Anybody who wants to do something with respect to this critter, roll me initiative if you want to try to get a shot off at it or do something to interact with it before it disappears.
11.
You have to beat a whopping 7. So keep
Crocular
that in
gets
mind.
an 11.
Okay.
Same, actually. 11.
My
Okay.
dexterity is
Whoever
plus
has the
3.
highest dex.
I should get some dice.
Okay, so probably
Oh, you have
Crocular,
Oh, I have the dice on here, so you can. Yeah.
and then Boslin. All right, Crocular, what do you do in that split second before you see this thing disappear as you see it spewing a little puff of shimmery acid?
That thing is creepy, and I think I might want to introduce it to my friend, the old one.
Okay.
Here's an Eldritch Blast.
Here's an Eldritch Blast.
20 to hit.
That hits.
Wow.
It's going to take a juicy 2 points of damage. Dose.
Yeah.
Okay. Boslin, you see your party member immediately fling up a hand and a bolt of, what does your Eldritch Blast look like?
I think
Dracula.
imagine that the world is a pencil sketch and somebody has just dragged an eraser across it in a straight line. So it's not like you're seeing something, it's like you're seeing the world become less real slightly.
You see its little frog legs get erased off of its body. Boslin,
Yeah.
what do you
Where
do?
did the
It's still there.
creature-
It hasn't
It's still there.
disappeared yet. You've got a split second to do something. You see it flying up in the air. It has spewed this cloud of shimmering, sparkling acid in front of it. And so you would be incurring some amount of damage to walk up to it and get within melee distance. But it's up in a tree about 20 feet.
Okay.
And it's
I'm
about 30
going
feet
to-
away from you.
Boslin scowls, pulls out his giant crossbow and aims towards it, and then just starts shouting in Celestial, which is a language that he knows.
Oh no.
And just shouting profanities in Celestial, just fires at it and angrily starts reloading and firing and that kind of thing. Just
There
sort of
are-
candidly. I'm just going to make
no
one attack.
profanities in Celestial.
There
are
are many
angry
profanities
statements.
in Celestial. Trust
They're
me,
angry
he knows
statements.
them.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's
You have to
grammatically
really-
incorrect to swear in Celestial.
You have to really torment the language, but it can be made to do it. Very good.
It's crazy. Why
Give
not?
me your attack roll to hit this thing with your crossbow bolt, please.
All right. Does a 10 hit?
It does not. The crossbow bolt goes flying off through the trees, and you hear some as the arrow slices through leaves and branches.
All right. I'm
very
going to
good.
still fire in the general direction. So
Very
just
good.
even if it flies away or whatever.
So this critter, this perversion, you see it. Let me just check something here. Yeah. Does anybody have a passive perception higher than 18?
No.
Okay. Then this critter disappears into the thick branches, the dark branches of the forest. You see that it's this kind of bizarre. If this were the real world, you would call it maybe twilight or the tail end of dusk. But you realize you can see everything, but the light is just very low. It's kind of unnaturally visible everywhere. Even in the shadows, if you stare at them long enough, things become more and more visible to you. So the rules of visibility and light and distance are all just a little off here, but it's not your first time. Let's see here. Ivan, you said that you immediately begin walking towards the sound of crying female voices. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So Ivan begins walking away. Does everybody follow? Or are you guys going after him?
When all
Okay.
that violence breaks out, I run after Ivan.
Okay.
I'm running
Ivan,
after the bird
go ahead.
thing. I'm
Ivan,
running
and
after whatever bird thing that was.
you want to go after it?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll. Okay. So we'll cut back to you in a second. So Ivan and Waggletop and Veda and Crocular, you all, as you come around this corner, you see 5 young women dressed in silver, kind of flowing silk dresses, and they're all kind of holding one another and consoling each other, and you see them weeping bitterly, and you see one of them is holding what looks to be some sort of silver hairband or something, and you realize that all of the women are wearing the same kind of band that's pulling back their hair. It's made of, really beautifully wrought silver. And these 5 women look up at you, and all of them scream when they see Ivan, because he is a, surly, gnarly, hardened, not necessarily warm and welcoming looking man. Crocular is just downright creepy. But then you see them kind of become puzzled and curious when they see Veda. They're a bit taken aback that there's a woman riding a giant rat with these, people. And they kind of huddle together. And one of them, who, as you look at them, you realize they all kind of look like maybe they're sisters, because they all have a very, very similar look. And the oldest of them pulls out a dagger and holds it up with one hand and places the other hand behind her and gets between you and her 4 sisters and says, "Step back! Get back! All of you!"
Ivan drops the woodcutter's axe that he's been holding and turns and just looks expectantly at Veda.
You see the woman turn kind of with a little bit of confusion. She's still kind of keeping her eyes on you, and then she'll glance over at Veda and says, "Who are you? Are you with him? Have you come back for the rest of us? You'll have to kill us. I'll kill you all." Make me a perception or an insight check. An insight, if you will.
15. She rolled a 15.
Okay.
Were you asking me to? I just
Yes.
assumed. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
You realize that she is terrified that you are going to do the same thing to her that happened to whoever this silver, one of them's holding obviously another silver band, and you realize that they are afraid that you're going to do the same thing to them. What? You don't know.
I steer the rat in front of the other, like in between my party and her party, and I dismount and I take off my hat and I take off my pouch and I put them on the ground by my feet, and I take off my rat's hat and I put it on the ground, basically as physically disarming as like non-metaphorically disarming.
Sure.
And then I kind of grumble at her. Who are you? What's up?
Our sisters, 2 of our sisters were taken by the hunter. He took them. We think that he's taking them to the city. We know the priests of Azazel have sought us for some time. We believe that he is going to sell them to the priests of Azazel. And you see all 5 of the sisters burst into tears.
Do any of us recognize the priests of Azazel? What Azazel is?
So you recognize that name. That is an ancient kind of demonic goat deity of legend and myth. It would be like the equivalent now of like Molech or Baal or something. Like, was that a real entity? Maybe thousands upon thousands of years ago, but you don't know of any reliable source that would corroborate its existence now. But it's widely known and spoken of, and there are many dark, dark stories and tales. You know that Anyone who I probably should have made you make a religion check for that, but there's so many of you, I'm sure you would have at least gotten that. Anybody who has religion, feel free to make me a religion check, and I'll tell you more based on the highest roll.
And at this point, how?
Crocular is what?
Crocular is facing 90 degrees away from this person and making a silent image, which is a magical sort of hologram of a goat with like 20 legs coming out of it. Like
you see one of the
that could roll.
You see the two youngest of the sisters scream when they see this, and the oldest one yells at you and says, "Stop it! Stop it! What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" And you've terribly upset these ladies. So who's got the highest religion check here?
Not me.
I have
Not
no
you.
idea what Betas is, but I've got a 19 here, or 14 here.
A 14? Okay. Anybody else
16.
with a religion check? 16? Okay. So with a 14, you know everything that you knew before. With a 16, you know that Azazel, what did I say? Did I say Azazel or Azrael?
Yeah.
Azazel.
Azazel, yeah.
Azazel.
Sorry, I went back and forth on which of those two names I wanted to use. You know that Azazel was one of the arch enemies of Pan. You know that Pan spent a lot of time and effort keeping Azazel from entering into and trying to take over the satyrs. You know that there was a race of goat men that were the sworn enemies of the satyrs, who were all deer kind of based satyrs, and there was a lot of war and bloodshed between them.
The legs, 2 of them are standing, and 18 of them are now holding pints of beer. And the goat takes on a jolly look as I stare off to one side at the poor girls.
You see that the 2 that were screaming before are now just crying. They're just hugging each other and trying to look away. But you see every time they look at it again, they burst into tears all over again.
Cut it out.
You see, yeah. You see, Ivan says, "Cut it out." The oldest of them looks at the oldest of you. The oldest of the sisters looks at Veda and says, "I do not know who you are or why you are here, but fate has brought you before us. Please, you must track the hunter. You must catch him before our sisters are taken. He is less than a half an hour ahead of you. He travels to the city." And you see all of the sisters as one point, and you see them point up slightly in the distance, and you realize that as your eyes peer longer and longer, you see hills begin to form in the distance, and you see a trail that disappears into the hills. And in the far distance, you see a small mountain. You have no idea how big it is. At this distance in this twilight, it's difficult to gauge the size and distance of things, but you realize that this path leads to this mountain on the edge of the horizon.
Did she earlier say that they expected the hunter taken them to the city or to the mountain?
She said the city, and you realize that the direction that she's pointing is she's basically pointing at a mountain. So you realize whether the city is on the mountain, in the mountain, by the mountain, you don't know, but it's in that direction, and that mountain is the closest landmark to get there. Which I'm giving you for free because you're a ranger, and there's no point in even making you roll for that. You immediately, as a ranger, kind of discern the landscape in a way that most other people would be very disoriented.
Well, Veda, seeing that she's looking at her, says, "Why? Why should we go get your sister? Who are you to us?"
You see for a moment the sister who is oldest, who had the dagger. You see her face goes perfectly flat in affect, as do all of the other sisters. They all immediately cease all emotion. And as one, they turn and they look at you. And with one, in chorus, in an uncanny chorus, they say, "That which was taken must be restored, or all will be lost." And all of you make a wisdom saving throw.
16.
Aaron got a natural 20
Woohoo!
17 over here.
plus whatever. I don't know.
10.
10, okay. And Bolin, what was yours? Boslin?
I'm not there. I'm hunting the crow, right?
Ah, right. That's true. That's true. Well, it's not a crow. It's kind of a. I don't even have a
Crow,
name.
demon,
Sure, the
thingamajig.
crow. Yeah, the abomination. You see, Ivan immediately begins to. You see his ear, just well up with tears, and you see tears forming on his cheeks, and you see him drop to his knees, and he's holding himself, and his body is just racking with sobs, and you see him reach down to grasp his woodcutter's axe, and he grabs it in two hands firmly. Ivan, all of this is happening totally against your will. There's a little part of your mind that might be resisting this, maybe even hates it because it's such a grotesque display of vulnerability. But it's as though your body is compelled, and you realize you will die to get these girls back.
I'll do it. He blurts out.
In a split second, you see all of the girls revert back to whatever emotional state they were in. The two youngest ones are back to crying and holding one another and glancing over at this grotesque art display. The oldest one goes back to a look of pleading but sternness in her eyes, and she looks at the rest of you and says, "Please, please, you have to bring her back. If the hunter sells them, if the hunter ransoms them to the priests of Azazel, blood will flow. Blood will flow over the land. Please."
All right. I get it. And he's going to start walking off in that direction.
All right, so Ivan begins to trudge in that direction. Yes, LT.
What's the name of the city? Waggletop asks him.
That's a good question. I was not expecting you to ask me such an obvious question as what's the name of the city.
Because
I'm
actually,
yes, I have it. Actually, I have it. I just remembered. Zaliel.
And is this on par with the dreamscapes we've had so far? Or are the dreamscapes like mostly therapeutic and like wood carving for Ivan, or are
there's always there's always some sort of challenge that you guys go up against. This seems to be particularly dark and way like higher in its kind of thematic content. Like suddenly you're dealing with priests of an ancient evil. It's typically a lot more like HR team building exercise kind of difficulty. And this seems to be just bizarrely grittier and darker and more grotesque and emotionally charged. None of the people that you've run into in the dreamscapes before have been just, crying and begging you and speaking with this creepy single chorus of voices. So this is, in the dreamscape, everything seems normal to you. But as you are in this conflict and you're being forced to do all this stuff, you have this flickering thought, man, all those kind of things rush through your head in a split second. And you realize something's off. This is weird.
Ivan thinks about that while kind of exploring the feeling of tears on his cheeks, which maybe he doesn't remember what it's like. Just kind of like,
In your head, you hear a voice saying,
Remember, sometimes vulnerability greatest strength.
So Waggletop asks what the hunter looks like. Can I get a physical description of the hunter?
you see all 5 of them once again kind of do the same thing where their emotions just drop in the exact same split second, and they all stare. They all say, the hunter in green with a blade of red, the hunter who fills the forest with dread.
That sounds strange. My nemesis.
What?
We've got to taste it.
So I guess that Crocular is going to maybe show a different side to his personality and approach the girls and give them a very imagine how like a member of the band System of a Down looks at a camera in a music video. Like when they come up to the camera and give it like a freaky look. The girls are getting that look, like the guy from System of a Down mugging at the camera, and he says, "How can we know what we're supposed to look for when we don't know who it is that is your problem? Can you please tell us more about where they are? Do it right now." And this is, I'm trying to be intimidating.
Okay.
I love how your intimidation have upward intonation at the end.
Make me an intimidation check.
17 plus 5 is going to be 22 to try and intimidate them into giving us more information.
So with one voice, with the scream of like maybe like 10% banshee level, so I mean it's going to hurt your ears, but it's not going to kill you or whatever. You all 5 of them in chorus scream, "The hunter in green with blade of red, who fills the forest of dreams with dread." And you see them, they start repeating this on loop, and every time they repeat it, it gets a little bit louder.
Crocular, he's going to Zaliel. Let's go. We got to get him. Why do you think I look like a, even in my dreams? Clear.
So, Veda, make me a perception check.
10. She rolled a 10.
And do you have bonuses to that?
I don't know. I don't.
Oh, hold up. I might be
You
able to
might
pull it
know.
up.
Yeah, so you've got a +1 to that. So with a +1 with an 11, you see some enormous footprints, the earth leading in the direction of the mountain, and they look to be some sort of not an ungulate, but something with a hoof, some sort of large kind of rounded hoof, and each of the prints is like almost the size of a dinner plate.
Well, Veda puts the hat back over the rodent of unusual sizes, unusually sized ears to smush them shut from the banshee noise. Grabs her stuff, hops back on, and then scoots around behind the rest of her crew and starts shuffling them in the direction that the footprints are heading off. So she's not leading from the front, she's leading from behind.
Oh, these women, the oldest of them stops you, like gets in front of you and stops you and says, My sisters are no warriors. They will
I'm
not
shuffling the
survive.
girls. I'm shuffling these guys.
Oh, these guys. Sorry, I thought you meant you were trying to herd the ladies. Okay. Yes. So you start herding these insane cats in the direction that these large tracks lead.
When I see these tracks, I am
yes.
fast walking after them.
Very good. So
Outrunning.
Waggletop is keeping pace with, threatening to outstrip the pace of the ROUS, and all of you begin pursuing these tracks. Veda, as a ranger in the dreamscape, I'm not even going to make you roll for this. Sometimes you lose the tracks and then you find them again after they go through a stream. Eventually you realize when you see that they lead through this kind of copse of small trees, and you see the height to which the trees are snapped off, and it looks like 12 feet up and like 8 feet wide. You see branches snapped off and leaves stripped, and you realize that there's this enormous set of antlers that go with this creature, whatever it is. Let's see here. As you follow these tracks, during this time, do you guys, if there's anything that you want to do, it takes several minutes. You start to kind of lose track of time in that way that you can't tell if you've been following these tracks for 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days. It's just your bodies don't carry a feeling of fatigue. You don't carry a memory of each step in your body the way that you do in the waking world. So it's very, very disorienting. You realize you don't even feel your heartbeat in your own chest. You don't hear your own breath. It's just this kind of bizarre cinematic soundscape that fills your ears.
This is real quick. Crocular, you will see Crocular bulk up just a little bit, but also start to smell bad. And one of his warlock things is false life. So
Excellent.
as he's going along, he can cast false life on himself, like for free. So
okay.
Extra like zombie muscles that aren't really living, just like
rotten zombie flesh. I love it. I love it. As travel along, you hear a snap of a twig in the bushes. Anyone who is paying attention and has 2 open eyes, make me a perception check.
Ooh, 20. I'm rolling
22.
really good tonight.
Veda got a 19.
Ivan got a 22.
Excellent. All of you see a satyr, a small, scrawny-looking satyr in the bushes. Waggletop, you see a creature covered in dung and dirt, and there's rotten meat stuck to it and whatnot, and you feel this absolute compulsion to clean this little guy the first chance you get. Boslin, you see this filthy little thief, and you see in his eyes, you notice him kind of glance over you in particular, and you realize he is out to steal everything you've got. He will take the shirt off your back if you let him.
Am I there? I thought I was chasing the abomination person.
Yeah, so you sorry, we need to back up and retcon then. Sorry, I forgot to do this.
Don't worry.
So Boslin, make me a either a nature check or a perception check.
All right. I'll make a perception check.
Okay.
12.
Yeah, so you climb up in the trees and you start looking around for this critter. You look high, you sniff the air, you try calling to it and enticing it to come out, making promises of friendship, wealth, fame. You scream out loud. Your blood runs hot, and eventually you realize you see your friends walking by along a path, and you see them staring down the road. Do you let them go and let them leave you, or do you scramble down and chase after?
I'm gonna scramble down and chase after them, and as soon as I catch up to them, I'm gonna be like, have you all seen that demon that flew away?
Ivan feels self-conscious and thinks the streaks of tears on his face can probably be seen, and so he turns away and wipes.
Once again, you hear the voice of your orc therapist in your ear.
Sometimes hardest walls to climb are ones you put down yourself. Lost weeds on this one. It okay to be sad. It okay, buddy.
Crocula's like, I don't care about that thing. We're doing something else now, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but only he hears it because it's telepathic.
Ooh.
Only who?
Boslin.
Only Boslin hears.
We're chasing a huge demon now.
Boslin starts looking around, darting in his mind. Occultist! You've breached my mind. I'll have your head on a platter. And he starts swinging wildly at the air with his great axe. Not great axe, war axe.
Friend, the great old one has breached everyone's mind. There is no such thing as a mind. You're under an
My mind is mine! Now get out of it!
Whatever you say, I guess.
And I'm going to just run towards Matt's character and just swing at him.
Roll for initiative.
Ooh, 19 initiative.
14.
Crocular, in your inner mind, you hear,
sometimes angriest people are most scared.
I guess I'm going to. Okay. No, let's see how smart Crocular is. Is Crocular smart or not? Oh no. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry. What's the character's name who's running at me?
Boslin.
Boslin.
So there's going to be like one hand comes up with one finger sort of crooked and points at Boslin as he rushes at Crocular. And Boslin, go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw. Beat 13.
Okay. Cons.
Or don't.
I did not. Critical fail.
Woohoo! So this is a cantrip called Infestation. A cloud of mites, fleas, and other parasites appear momentarily on you. So you take 1d6 poison damage, and you have to move 5 feet in a random direction.
In addition to this, Boslin, pick me a number 1 through 4.
I'll just roll a d4.
26 poison damage?
No, 1d6.
26 would be a lot. 4.
4. Okay, very good. So, Boslin, any magical effect that was previously upon you is now utterly white. And all of that rage that you feel towards your fellow man dispels like a bubble that's been burst. and you come to your senses and realize that this person means you no harm. He's not trying to get in your mind. He's just a weird, smelly artist that you sometimes are forced to be around. Your rage
Do I still have
subsides in a
insects
moment.
all over me? Do I still have
No,
insects?
the
Okay,
insects all disappear, and in the same moment that the insects disappear, your rage dissipates. You realize that there was like a poisonous cloud over your mind, and you make me an insight check.
Sure. $12. Man.
Yeah, you realize that this sour mood that you're in has lifted.
Must be the work of demons. I'm sorry, my mind was clouded by those infernal wretches. But if you see anything and you fail to tell me, it'll be your head on a platter.
So just at that
demons.
Just at that moment, you hear a snap, and all of you turn, and you see a little satyr poking his head out of the bushes. Waggle beard or waggle top. You realize this thing is filthy, and you feel a powerful compulsion to clean this little guy the first chance you get. Boslin, you realize that this thing is a thief and will steal the shirt off your back if given a chance. Crocular, you see that this creature is looking at all of your weapons, and you just know that this thing is trying to hurt themselves. You know that if you give it a chance, it will harm itself at the first chance. You feel this overwhelming need to protect it. Ivan, you are thirsty. Your throat is so dry, and you realize that the blood in that satyr, it would be so refreshing and life-giving. You find yourself almost compelled to attack the target and drink its blood. Veda, roll me a d6.
I'm rolling for her. She rolled a 4. Or I rolled a 4.
Okay. Okay. Veda, you realize that venison is definitely the tastiest meat you've ever had, and you're quite certain that this thing will be tastier than any deer or elk that you've ever felled and roasted over a spitfire in the wild. If you get a chance, you definitely are going to want to eat this thing.
All right. Well, Boslin says, speaking of demons, and he raises his war axe and just charges towards it.
Everybody roll for initiative.
All right. Yep. Wow.
7. Oh, sorry, 6.
Veda got a 14, and Boslin got a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, you got 14. 11 plus 3. That's your character.
I beat that 5 with a 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. How are we doing, Ivan?
Ivan got a 19.
Okay. Okay. And Crocular?
14.
Okay. I'm going to put Veda ahead of you in turn order, Crocular, so do not be dismayed when that happens. You're up. What do you do?
Okay, so one thing I need to imagine is we rolled initiative when you said when Jacob said I'm gonna rush him.
Yes. So you see Boslin lift up his weapon, and you see him drop his weight and begin to lean forward to charge. He has not yet left his space, but his intent is clear.
Okay, Ivan's kind of confused by this whole literal thirst for blood.
There's
He's-
nothing. It's not something you're thinking about. It's something that you just feel in your body. You can have thoughts about it, and you can, have some cognitive dissonance, but in your body you feel, and it's almost a compulsion. If you wanted to try to fight it, you would need to make a wisdom saving throw to avoid giving in to this palpable desire that you feel.
Ivan likes to be angry about certain things, and he doesn't like this. So I guess he's gonna do a wisdom saving throw.
Okay, roll me a wisdom saving throw.
He gets a dirty 20.
Excellent. You immediately see through the effects of the dreamscape. You know that there are a number of ways and reasons and whatnot that strange things can happen in the dreamscape. The only sure thing is that something bizarre is going to happen while you're here, right? We've all had dreams at night. Sometimes you just know something. It just comes over you. It's just the reality of the dream. But somehow you manage to pierce through the veil and you feel this compulsion lift and you feel yourself in control of your senses. If you have any bonus actions or free actions, or movement, you can still do those. But your standard action is spent breaking this sense of compulsion over you.
No, Ivan's disoriented, so he's not going to do anything else.
Very good. Veda
dismounts and leaves all of her stuff up on the... What kind of weaponry does she have?
She has a long sword. Here,
Okay.
I'll check the inventory. And a longbow, pike.
Okay. She dismounts and leaves everything except the longsword on the mouse. And
you have a shield on your back, so you can easily sling that out and have a sword and shield if you want.
Okay. And she starts to step behind a tree, like she's aiming to scoop around outside of the satyr's vision. Unfortunately for her mouse follows her in kind of a clumsy way, as though the mouse wants to be in between her and the satyr. It's frustrating.
Okay. I can roll stealth for your mount. And your mount actually manages to pull out a respectable 15. So if you do better than a 15, then your collective Team Veda stealth is at least a 15.
$16.
All right, very good. You see that this satyr is so disoriented by how many of you that there are that you realize, you're pretty sure you've dodged out of this thing's vision. It's not tracking you as you disappear into the woods. So you begin moving at stealth. You would not have quite, like, you're going to have to move around enough bushes that you'll be able to attack with surprise in the next round, but you won't be able to attack it with a melee attack this round since you've got a sword and shield. Crocular, unless there are any other bonus actions or free actions you want to take, Veda? Crocular.
How close is it to me?
30 feet away.
I think that this impulse that you've described is not sufficiently dissimilar from Crocular's normal state of mind. So he is going to run up to the satyr and attempt to grapple it while saying, "Don't hurt yourself, little guy. It's okay, little guy. Everything's going to be all right." Crocular's strength is really, really, really low. This is I'm rolling with -2, so I'm like getting down on my knees and trying to throw my arms around this thing.
What languages do you speak?
Oh, Common, Elvish, Giant, and Gnomish.
Okay. So in Elven, this creature, as you grab it by the wrists, you see it desperately scrambling to grab you by the wrists, and it seems to be almost mirroring your words. It's like, no, you don't hurt yourself. No, don't do it. Don't you have so much to live for?
I rolled a natural 20, which
Yeah,
-2 is 18 to grapple it.
You've got it by the wrists for sure. You
No,
just
I'm
realized
bear
that's what
hugging
it's
it.
trying to do. Okay. You're bear hugging it, and it's desperately trying to scramble out of your grip, just demanding that you not harm yourself, demanding
Neither
that
of
you.
us are going to stab each other. It's going to be just fine.
Please tell me you're not going to give up on the light of life. There's so much beauty in the world.
Hey, remember what Brick says. Use your words, not your hands.
You hear, all of you at once in your ear hear a
They learning.
All right. This satyr that you currently have bear hugged, Crocular, tries to break free. It's just wiggling and flailing desperately, screaming, "Please, no! I'm begging you! Don't go to the darkness! Don't do it!" Waggletop, it's your turn.
I am going to. Can I cast Mold Earth to try to get the dirt off of it?
I'll allow it. Make me an Arcana check, and well, you do.
Okay. 18.
18 with masterful gracile dexterity. You just
Almost gnome-like.
gnome-like. You see his little fingers begin wiggling around, and you see him kind of poking, scraping, doing these movements, and you see the satyr is suddenly just clean as, I mean, he looks like he's about to go receive an Oscar, go walk down the red carpet. He looks gorgeous, groomed, shampooed, and beautiful.
Waggletop is visibly
That
relieved.
beard trimming finally paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boslin.
So, what was his name? The occultist person, Matt's character. He grappled the satyr, right?
Yes.
So does that mean I get
Crocular
advantage?
is currently embracing and restraining this being.
All right. So, with that in mind, I'm going to use my battle axe and with just one hand, just bring it down on this guy's head
Okay.
as hard as I can. And I actually get +2 because I'm only using a melee weapon in one hand, and I get advantage because he's restrained. I don't know if that's how it works.
I don't think you get
so.
advantage on him. If he were prone and you were walking up to him and attacking him on the ground with a melee weapon, you would have advantage. But because he's grappled, you just attack.
It just makes his speed 0.
Okay.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Right. So that's 6 total. I rolled a 2.
Your axe goes thudding down into the ground, and you miss him. Ivan, you are in faculties. You have broken the fever of compulsion. What do you do?
Ivan's gonna and try to step in between. What is his name? Boslin.
Boslin.
Yeah. Boslin, and Ivan looks at this now that he's kind of shaken the hunger for this satyr's blood, and his hair is pretty nicely combed and everything. He's gonna intervene, step in between the satyr and Boslin, and say, "Hey now, let him go. What's this about? What are you about, son?" To the satyr.
Okay. Veda.
What's my alignment?
Good question. What do you want it to be? You're a ranger, so you're used to at least upholding a code, if not necessarily a law. So you could be lawful, you could be neutral, you could be a ranger because you love things being free and unencumbered. You could be chaotic, you could be good, neutral, evil, whatever you want.
Okay. I will sort that out later. And for now, my Beta, seeing that no one is paying any attention to her and she is now at a good attacking distance from the satyr, is going to raise her sword, prepared to thrust, not swing, and as she lunges forward, the mouse does not get out of her way.
Okay. A check here to see how badly the mouse. Oh boy, yeah. Well, okay. So your mouse is. Tell me what's going on here. What's going on with this mouse? Because it rolled a 1 to try to not get underneath your feet.
So it totally got under my feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Indeed.
Good. Yeah.
Are you attacking this guy?
Veda was intent on attacking.
Very good.
The mouse, it unwittingly completely impeded that. She now has fallen on the ground and actually given herself a slight cut with her own sword.
So with that 1, because you're trying to attack, go ahead and make your attack roll. You would have been doing it with advantage because you were doing it from concealment and darkness. But now, what'd you roll?
1.
A 1.
Ooh.
It's a
Lovely,
3
lovely, lovely.
Helps.
All right, let's confirm that crit, if you would. Roll another d20 to see just how badly this goes, because some things are about to happen here.
She rolled a 19.
A 19. Excellent. Oh, that's horrible, actually. Sorry, never mind.
Okay.
Right.
So could be
Okay.
the character we've had.
Yeah, so you see your sword stab into Crocular, and you see this eruption of electricity as Crocular takes 1 point of stabbing damage and 6 points of damage. So you see your sword stab into him like a centimeter or two, and then an explosion, an eruption of electrical energy rips into him. So you've taken 7 points of damage.
It smells
From the
really bad.
Yeah, rotten barbecue. You boys ever tried to grill an old possum out been on Highway 40 for a day or two? Something like that.
so the electricity came
From her sword, yes. You see this eruption of lightning damage from her sword. Crocular, it's your turn.
Sword.
And are we
Am I-
familiar? Like, do we feel? Would I know if Ocular felt pain from that, or if it's just like how distant we are in these dreamscapes from our us?
No, you know that while things like feeling your own breath or your own heartbeat in your body might be muted or even entirely gone, pain is very real and sometimes impossibly vivid. So if you're a particularly empathetic person underneath that thick, crusty exterior, you would feel bad for him because you realize he just got lit up with electrical energy. I mean, he just got zapped by more than an open plug, butter knife, and shoved it in a sock. That is what he just what happened to him.
Okay.
So Crocular is going to stand up and try to figure out what is going on. And so maybe make that wisdom saving throw.
Sure. You see that Ivan seems to be in control of his senses. So I'll say that that is prompt enough for you. Roll me that wisdom saving throw.
Well, because it seems like I don't know what she was trying to do. I'm just trying to get my bearings and figure things out.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to work. That's going to be a 7 for the wisdom saving throw.
You're still just absolutely gripped with this compulsive need to protect this guy and not let him
don't
hurt
hurt
himself.
this satyr.
You actually don't even really care whether other people hurt him. All you is that he not harm himself. Convinced that his words are lies, that he's trying to trick you and get you to drop your guard. And the moment you take your eyes off of him, he's going to grab a dagger off of you, or he's going to pick up a pointy stick and shove it in his eye, or who knows.
So I made some assumptions about this. Would it be contrary to this compulsion for me to destroy him to keep him from harming himself?
He wouldn't be able to hurt himself if you, so I'll allow it.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess I already took my turn, so.
You tried to. You still have a bonus action if you have any bonus actions that can be used to inflict harm.
Nah.
Okay, very good. The satyr, let's see here. We do this. Very good. Okay, you see the satyr, you see something comes over him, and you see him gently and tenderly place a hand upon your face. It's got big, thick, black, tufts of gleaming, by the way, beautifully polished, gleaming nails and well-groomed hair. And he places this hand tenderly on your face, Crocular, and he places the other one on the other side of your face, and he draws you near, and you see that he's just utterly enraptured with your beauty, and he just says, "You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Get away from him!" And he turns and he bellows at all the rest of you, and you see him pull a dagger out of his pouch, and he stabs at Ivan. Ivan, you see this coming from a mile away, and with the level of effort required to thwart the efforts of a kindergartner, you turn his thrust aside and prevent him from stabbing you. Waggletop, how will you contribute to the madness? Crocular's not holding. Well, yeah, I guess Crocular has let go because Crocular has realized that he needs to do whatever he can to prevent this guy from hurting himself, and the only surefire way to do that is to kill him, because if he doesn't kill him, he will definitely harm himself.
Is he at risk of getting blood on him, on the satyr?
You see that there are
How much of my magic has he seen?
Yeah, you see that there is black, fetid Icarus, partially burnt blood creeping out of some open cracks and wounds in his side where he was stabbed by Veda. And you realize there's a very good chance that blood's going to get.
He's going to get buried. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to use Gust and try to blow the satyr 5 feet away.
Okay,
from me, and also 5 feet away from Crocular.
Very good. So Crocular, sorry, go ahead.
Let's see.
So Crocular, have you let go of him yet?
Oh yeah.
I just need to real quick before you go on.
I don't seem to.
I think you're still holding him. I don't think you said that you've let go yet.
I didn't say I let go, and he
Okay.
didn't break
Yeah.
my grip, so I think I'm
Okay.
still holding him.
Okay.
So I think I'm
Okay.
still holding him.
Okay. So let's do this.
I'm
That
very
gust
weak.
Okay,
was
if
directed
he's
at
still
the
holding,
satyr. Yeah.
if he's still holding him, then I would have tried to blow Crocular off the satyr.
Okay. So you're using gust to try to blow them apart. What is your spell DC?
13, and it's a strength savings throw.
Okay. Crocular, make me a strength saving throw DC 30. Hold on to this satyr.
Oh, that's a 9.
Okay, and
11 minus 2.
sure.
Crocular, don't get him dirty.
And this satyr rolled a 7. So you see the two of them are lifted off their feet and blown apart by 5-10 feet.
Excellent.
And they land and roll in the grass, much to your horror, Waggletop.
Oh no!
Fortunately, it's a soft, clean bit of grass.
Okay.
It's not like you fell in a mud puddle. But there's a mud puddle next to him, and your cortisol levels spike. Boslin.
Yeah. All right. Boslin is going to, seeing the gust of wind that pushed them apart, he's going to scream at the satyr, "Occult magician!" and swing again with his war axe.
Okay. So he's on the ground. He's prone. So you are going to get advantage on this.
Sweet. 1. Ooh. 2. Wow. 18 and then a 3. So, well, actually, 22.
Oh, you got 2 attacks?
Advantage?
I see. Yes. Okay. Believe it or not, a 22 hits.
A 22 hits. Yes. I knew it. So that's going to deal this much damage. Wow. Only 5 damage.
Okay. You see the satyr bleat out with this animalistic cry, and you see a spray of blood erupt from the site. Waggletop, make me a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom savings throw. 6.
You are filled with a vengeful rage against Boslin because he has denied you your one deepest, truest need in this existence.
Boslin, smile on the outside. Self-smile on the
Ivan, you hear a voice in your head that says,
Sometimes when storm blowing around, it's best to just take simple breath.
that doesn't force you to do anything. That's all you hear. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ivan's confused at the situation. He doesn't know why they're attacking this guy. Because after he shook off the bloodthirst, this satyr guy just seems like some guy we met in the woods. He sees what's his name, Boslin,
Mm-hmm.
as kind of the
Boslin.
most dangerous threat in this situation. So he's just gonna start backing up and turn and maybe look around on the ground for those tracks that we were following.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Make me a perception check to try to find the tracks.
18. Perception. 21.
You find them. Now, tell me, are you more intelligent, wise, or charismatic? Which of these three are you strongest?
They're about the same, but wisdom's a little higher. They all
Wisdom's
have
a
the
little
same
higher.
bonus, yeah.
Okay. So you have taken a beat. You have stepped away from the chaos. Your eyes have affixed on these tracks, and as you stare at them, you reach out with your intuitive sense, and you perceive this subtle fading of the tracks, and you realize that as this fight has been raging on, the tracks are getting ever so slightly dimmer and dimmer. They're at about maybe halfway right now, and as you look at them, even across the course of a few seconds, you see this ever so slight, but because you had in the 20s this barely perceptible fade occurring before your very eyes.
Ah! Look at, wait, what's her name? Vela?
Veda.
Keva?
Veda.
Ah, Veda! The tracks are fading! Come on! He's calling out
The
to
Veda
her
first?
because he knows her to be the outdoorsy ranger, right? We know each other.
Indeed.
Right.
So Veda, now that has prompted you, you get a free attempt at a wisdom saving throw to try to snap out of whatever compulsion seems to be holding you.
8.
8. Yeah. You realize. Remind what your. Oh yeah. You realize that whatever's going on with those tracks is absolutely inconsequential next to the Golden Corral buffet showstopper of a meal piece that this fella is. Your stomach rumbles and your mouth begins to salivate as you look at him. But it is your turn.
All right. I got knocked backward a little bit when my sword zapped. Apparently, Veda was not aware that her sword had zapping ability.
Well, Aaron Joy isn't, but Veda recognizes the effects of her very blood. You know that you are born of a lineage that has some sort of magical blessing from Siga, the storm goddess, and the power of the storm flows through your veins. There have been more than a handful of times in your life where, in a moment of absolute, danger and need, whipping wind, bolts of lightning or rain have just kind of appeared out of nowhere, and you seem to have summoned them innately by your very inner magics. You're not quite a sorcerer, but you know that this is your blood, your kin, your family is blessed by goddess.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, nix that. She definitely knew that her sword was awesome like that.
No, this makes complete sense to me.
She happily that other guy is no longer in between her and the meal. So she I'm gonna go with hurls the longsword. She would be inclined to leap toward it, but the darn mouse is still thigh high, exactly in the most inconvenient place. So she lifts her sword up over the mouse and hurls it in the direction of the satyr.
Yeah. 3 to try to get out of the way. You're yelling at it and move, you stupid rat. And it all it does is freak out, and its tail, slaps you in the thigh as it's spinning around. All right, so you're throwing the sword. That is an improvised weapon being thrown. So roll your attack with disadvantage.
I don't know what that means. Oh, then roll twice attack lower.
Yep.
The first one was 18.
And we should probably re-roll that one.
Okay.
Yeah. A standing rule that on the floor doesn't matter. 3. Yeah. The sword stabs into the ground next to this creature's head, and it doesn't even seem to notice it because it's just laying there on its side with its hand outstretched towards Crocular. like, two young people in love laying on a blanket together, going for a romantic picnic. He's just kind of laying there with an arm outstretched, looking longingly into the eyes of Crocular. And you see it get up on its elbows, and it begins to kind of army crawl on its elbows, on its belly, dragging itself towards Crocular. And it says, "Mi amor, run away with me. Come." And he climbs up on one knee and he extends a hand to Crocular to up. Waggletop, it's your turn. Crocular, do you allow yourself to be lifted to your feet?
Sure.
All right, so this satyr with blood on its gushing down its side and affection in its eyes clasps your hand and says, "Tell me you will run away with me. Make me the happiest creature in these woods." Waggletop, it's your turn.
I am going to run over to the satyr and try to, clean it off with, what do I have?
Heal it.
Probably
Clean. Scourgify.
Clean it. Get the blood wiped up. I guess I'm going to I'm going to take my beard and just kind of wipe it and try to clean it.
Do you have any kind of arcana skill? What's your highest what's your highest stat? Intelligence, wisdom, or charisma? Intelligence. Okay. Yeah. So you, in a moment of desperate need, your mind kind of intuitively syncs up with the very fabric of the dreamscape, and you attempt to just manifest your will. Kind of like lucid dreaming. You basically attempt to impose a reality into the dream. Make me I'm trying to think if there's a skill related to this. If you have proficiency in Arcana or in...
I do.
Okay, I'll use Arcana.
Proficiency Arcana.
Yeah, make me an Arcana check to try to manifest a magical beard. Let's see how good you do.
So I have used disguise self to give myself a beard. Oh wait, but it doesn't hold up to physical inspection. Never mind.
Yeah, so you're
because it's
make this real.
I can't fit. So I'm trying to make it. Okay.
You're trying to make it real.
22.
Okay, you suddenly have a beard that is not only real, but it is absolutely monstrously bushy, and it's somehow bubbling and sudsing with these magical soap, and it smells like somebody pushed over a doTERRA kiosk. Tons of natural oils, essential oil smells coming off of your beard. So you run up to this guy and begin to all of the blood. Yeah, all the blood immediately is gone. You see that there's this open wound that's still dribbling blood, and so you start to more. And this satyr seems to be almost oblivious to your efforts to cleanse it.
The blood just keeps coming out, and I just keep wiping it up.
Yep. But you're on top of it. As long as you don't stop, you're on top of it. Boslin.
I'm focused.
Not a part of my actions or whatever. That thing that he did with making things manifest, is that can I just use that as an action? I don't think so. I don't know.
Make me a Arcana check to see if you notice / perceive this. So far, you've been in a bit of a crazed, manic state. But I will say, seeing something this outrageous, does kind of give you the opportunity to perceive it. So, give me that Arcana check.
10? I've been rolling horribly.
You're like, boy, I wish I could do whatever I want in this place like Waggletop. He's a boss, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna raise my war axe above my head and then just bring it right down on that magician occult satyr person.
Please do.
I will.
Let's see
That's
how
the
it
plan.
goes.
Finally, and not a horrible roll. 18.
18 hits. Roll me that beautiful bean footage.
All right. I'm going to just use these dice for now. That's 10. 10 damage. 10 slap damage.
Okay. You bring this axe down on the clavicle and shoulder of this satyr, and you see it down. You see one of his shoulders drop several inches, and a spray of blood just waggled. His face is just sprayed with red, and you see just a fount of blood begin to flow down the side of the satyr. Waggletop cries out, and you see his beard begin soaking up all blood. His beard is like a magical sponge. You don't even know where it goes. It just disappears into a sponge.
If it's dead,
it is not. He's standing there, and you can see his skin is beginning to grow pale. You see that his weight, he's now kind of holding on to, and he's got both of his arms wrapped around behind Crocular's neck, and he's relying on Crocular to hold him up. And he says, "If I go, at least I got to see true beauty for the end." And you see blood, begins to spit out of his mouth.
You wouldn't know beauty if it spat on your face. And then he, in turn, spits on his face.
Ivan, you're up.
This is great.
Well, Ivan actually he used to always just live kind of by himself in the woods, and he's just seeing, I think he's starting to put together that they probably have that head thing that was trying to get me, but they're not shaking it. And he's just kind of disgusted by the sight of what they're all doing. So I think he's just gonna turn and say, "The tracks, come on!" and try to follow the tracks.
Make me the equivalent of like a concentration check. I'll let you make it with either intelligence or wisdom. But as you stare at these tracks, you're trying to basically keep them from fading. So make me either a wisdom or an intelligence check, your choice.
Okay. He would do a wisdom check.
Okay.
Wow, 17 plus. Let's see. If it's just a straight wisdom, that would be 18. If you do it perception again, it would be 20.
No, but you can use your proficiency for this. So you don't try to make the tracks come back. You see through the unseeing of them, if that makes any sense. You
Interesting.
you unsee them, sort of. You wouldn't really be able to tell anybody else how you did it, but it works for you. And you see these, because you are staring at them intently, you see these tracks begin to re-solidify and cease to fade.
You forgot to notice that they were fading away.
Yeah. It's like you jumped and you missed the ground and suddenly you're flying.
Happens to us all the time.
I'm going to follow them, too, with my movement.
Okay. Following these tracks, everybody sees Ivan move about 30 feet away as he begins following them. Veda.
She hears him and wants to make another Constitution saving throw. Is that the
a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw. Okay.
Yep.
Dungeon Master, should Crocular have had a turn at some point?
You're next. You're right after her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
13.
13. Yeah, you sit there you're just your moral sense, whatever morality has seeped into your little lizard brain screams out and tries to, find purchase, be heard in the madness of your voice and your will. And all you come up with is this intense belief that if you just had some sort of like steak sauce or maybe some garlic, this guy would be easily the tastiest thing you've ever consumed.
Okay.
And you still have a bonus action.
Did his arm fall off from the axe blow?
But if you gave it a good tug, you could probably pull it off. It's held on by a bit of skin at this point.
Yeah, I think that's what she'd do. She'd go over and grab the wrist and give it a yank.
Make me an athletics or a strength check. Make me an athletics check, whatever your athletics is.
What's my athletics? 5.
Okay, yeah, you yank on this thing, and you see the satyr screams out in pain and looks up into the eyes of Crocular and just says, "Worth it." As you see the light go out of his eyes, and you see it kind of collapse in his arms, and you somehow are left holding this arm. And suddenly a stomach-turning sense of nausea and disgust comes over you as you realize you are about to cannibalize a sentient being, and this is like this isn't you, and you vomit onto the ground as your body reacts with absolute vile disgust. And all of you, whatever sort of compulsion you had surrounding this satyr, it just evaporates into thin air. Now, I say that, Waggletop, you're still holding a sudsy, bloody beard. So your beard is now pink, filled with a thick pink froth of blood.
Am I still wanting to clean it?
Nope. You have no more compulsion. None of you are held by any compulsion regarding this thing.
I just start squeezing and trying to get the goo and blood out.
Are we still in initiative?
Nope, you're out of initiative order.
Can I deliver a line?
Please.
Yep.
Crocular says, "You're a nice guy?"
He says this to the feet.
Boslan is going to say, "Ha ha! Excellent work, Veda. You'll make a great paladin yet. Now, let's see the true identity of this occultist." He is going to use his divine sense. As an action, you can detect good and evil. Basically, within 60 feet of me, and by extension the corpse, I can tell if there is a celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of me. So I'm just seeing if the corpse is any of those.
It is not a celestial, a fiend, or an undead. But you do, I'm going to say that you get kind of it's like you eat something and you're looking for a particular flavor, and you didn't get any of those flavors that you were looking for, but there's this kind of weird taste at the back of your mouth, and you, metaphorically speaking, feel just something kind of scummy and slimy in that taste. It's not actually happening in your mouth. This is a very internal spiritual discernment thing that's happening, but you discern something scummy and wrong.
I guess it wasn't that evil. Best cut it up to be sure. And he's just going to, like, almost rhythmically, starting at the feet and working up to the head. He's just rhythmically just cutting it into like a sushi of sorts, just making sure that whatever it is, it's not coming back. Just almost like logging style. Anyway,
you see two little bunnies kind of holding each other, staring at the scene of gore with this just wide-eyed 1,000-yard stare. You see a deer about 50 feet away that was chewing some grass. It just stops staring and kind of stares at you.
Crocular is sketching a quick portrait of the scene, capturing the dismemberment, but paying
Make me a performance
really
check.
particular close attention to the look in the bunny's eyes.
Make me a performance check, please.
Yeah. Hold on, that was not on the thing. What's my performance? Okay. Bad. 6.
In your mind, you hear,
Sometimes, after trauma, we know have beautiful things to say, but at least we have true things to say.
all of you see these, see Ivan ahead of you following these tracks. And Veda, you probably faster than anybody else catch up with Ivan. All of you hustle a bit and regroup. Ivan, as you are following these tracks, you make me a nature check, if you will. Ivan, are you there? Jared?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Jared / make me a nature check, please.
10.
Yeah, you see this enormous pile of scat in the way, and it's big, man. It's real big. Anybody else who has nature, especially Veda, give me a check to identify this scat.
8.
8? You're like, it's not that big, you know.
Ivan figures it's
Okay.
probably just matches the really big hooves and continues on.
Yeah, he does. Yep. Big poops, you know, is what it is. As you press on, you come to a crest of a hill, and you see ahead a small city at the base of the mountain. You see beautiful, beautiful stonework and brickwork. You can see even from here that all of the roads are beautiful mosaics. But you see that surrounding the city is a swampy, disgusting, stinking sulfuric marshland. You can smell the rotting detritus from here. Crocular, it fills you with a sense of nostalgia. It's like stew just like mom used to make. I'm sure that something disgusting about this warms the cockles of your nose.
The dining hall.
Yeah.
Reminds me of my college days.
Yeah, indeed. The things necromancers will eat. All of you see that there are some guards in black lacquered armor that are marching away from you down the city, down the road to the city. And you realize if you moved quickly, you'd be able to catch up to them.
How many are there?
3.
Can we see? Okay. Ivan's gonna full out sprint and have his woodcutter.
Okay.
I'm gonna stumpy run after him.
Are you running at full speed? Are you moving silently? Are you trying to sneak up on them? Are you trying to yell at them while you run? How do you move?
How wide open is it?
At this point, there are very few trees or anything like that. There are some scraggly, sad looking little bushes on the side of the road every so often. But for the most part, everything from this crest of the hill down towards the city is all marshy swampland. So you see a few wide fronded plants that if you were to dive into the middle of the bush, you could hide. But there aren't really any trees or anything more than 6 or 7 feet tall between here and the city.
Well, with marshy swampland, I mean, my immediate intuition is that's probably going to be like not necessarily reliable to just full out sprint across without
You can
stepping
go.
in.
You can follow the road. They are on.
Oh, there's
the
a
path.
road through. Okay.
Yes, they are
Yep.
on the path. The path leads to the city. They appear to be walking down it. They look like they're not marching, so to speak, but they look like they're kind of on duty, walking shoulder to shoulder with each other. You see sometimes they look left, they look right, but none of them are looking over their shoulder behind them.
Okay, well, Ivan is rolling a, let's say, I don't know if this is a perception check. If it's a perception check, 18, 20, 21, to just try to judge, like, the distance between him and the soldiers and the city, and see how much time he has to be slow. If he wants to get them before they get to the city, and before they get in range of maybe the guards on the city wall. So if he needs to sprint to them, he'll do. If he thinks he needs to, he'll do that. If he can go more quietly and get pretty close without making noise,
Yep.
he's just trying to judge which of those two he needs to do.
So that would be a intelligence check. If you have any kind of survival or
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, if you have survival, you can use that. Otherwise, it would be just intelligence check.
Okay. For survival, that would be 21.
Okay. Yeah, you know that you've tracked animals in the woods, for your meal before. You've lived out in the woods alone. You think that if you took off right now in stealth mode, you'd be able to catch up to them before they make it close enough to the city that you would be concerned about the guards on the tower, on the wall, seeing it.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
Boslin is going to just run up towards the guards and sort of like after he's done mincing the satyr, he's going to run up towards the guards and sort of hail them.
Well, okay, so you were mincing the dude, so you have not yet seen these guards. Ivan pushed up ahead, so Ivan's going to be taken off in stealth mode while you're still back there trying to pretend to be Hiro-san preparing sushi for a Michelin restaurant.
All right. Well, when
Ivan paused, sorry.
No, when Boslin's done with mincing up that guy, he's just going to head over to where he was going.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll go ahead, LT. Where
when Ivan pauses, I'll catch up with and I'll say, "Hey, these guys have probably seen the hunter. Let's get them."
Nice.
Basically.
Okay. Everybody who's going after these guys stealthily, roll me a stealth roll. True to form, hangs back.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Veda is going after them in stealth form so much as she is disheartenedly, bedraggedly dragging behind the front of the party. So she probably just stops momentarily at the crest of the hill. She's now reconciled with the mouse, so that's good. But she's not part of the stealth catch-em crew.
Okay. Maybe you wait at the top of the hill and wait for Boslin to finish his project.
Sounds good.
His mise en place prep work. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not stealthy, but I'm just slow.
It's
Okay.
an 11 for Crocular.
11 for Crocular. Ivan?
Oh, I got an 8.
An 8. And Waggletop? Are you even going to try
I'm
to
not
make
going
a
stealthily more than them, so they're going to be in front of me anyway.
Okay, all right, sure. So Crocular, Ivan, you lift your shoulders up and drop your weight down a little bit and plod trudgingly, loudly, but it's the best you can do. And at some point, when you're about maybe 40, 50 feet, 60 feet away from these guys, one of them, you see an enormous hairy ear pop out, and another one pops out, and both those ears turn backwards towards you. And then you see the other two big hairy ears pop out, and as they turn, these long faces that had been pointed away from you turn in your direction, and you're staring into gleaming yellow goat eyes sunken in the face of goat heads on the bodies of these bizarre humanoid goat things in black lacquered armor. Each is wielding a jagged scimitar, and in chorus they bleat at you and charge forward at Ivan and Crocular. And that's where we'll end for tonight, putting a pin in it, with three goatmen charging at Ivan and Crocular in front, Waggle Top just behind, and about maybe 120 feet behind them, we see Boslin covered in blood walk up and just kind of smear some of the blood and gore off of his face and flick it onto the ground. And you see Veda kind of, her stomach hasn't quite settled yet. And the two of them, all five of them, find themselves in this moment. So thank you so much for participating in my Dreamscape adventure tonight, guys. It has been a real pleasure subjecting you to off-the-charts levels of mayhem and chaos. And I can't wait to see how this resolves as all of you try to find a way to infiltrate the city of Zaliel and return the two sisters that have been taken. Join us next week as we find out part 2 of the Dreamscape adventure of these insane, magically, tragically, and come on, tragically, and criminally insane individuals as they seek improved mental health through group therapy. I'm once again your Dungeon Master, Josh. Please join us next week at 7:30 for part 2 of the Starfall Collective.